Hey, it's Chuck Charlton here, back with the Hawthorne Village house prices report. And so we do this video every month just to complement the things that we actually have in the report, because there's raw data and then there's interpretation. So I'm hoping we're going to be able to add a little bit, just like we do every month, to the report, and just as if I'm sitting right beside you going through it. So May 2011 is the report date, which means we're reviewing all the stats that happen up till the end of April, which is what we have recorded. Now, the actual Hawthorne Village area that we look at is this area here plus this. We haven't got into too much into this area here because they're still new there. It's a little bit hard and not always the most reliable thing to track. So we'll wait till that neighborhood gets a year or two under its belt. Now, this is one of the most important pages in the whole report. It's our average monthly selling price from 2004 to 2011, and when you look at it, there's actually a pretty clear pattern, and we are in a time of season that's traditionally known as a good time of year. Now, we do see prices go up, and usually that's for one of two reasons, or I believe a combination of both. Number one is the bigger homes are actually selling through the spring season. So in other words, the double car garage homes, the family 4-bedroom, 2,000 or more square feet, those are the ones that tend to sell in the season, getting ready for the school year. And the other thing is that the number of buyers, the number of listings go up, but because of the season, the weather, everything else, the buyers actually go up a little bit higher, and we see a little bit more a little bit more demand compared to supply. Now, so you can see that's happened almost every year, and it's tracked pretty well. The big thing that's pushing prices up so quickly, if you look at the spreads on these graphs, is really interest rates. And so a lot of people ask me, Chuck, what's going to happen with interest rates? We're in a very precarious position because economically, usually when you raise interest rates, the dollar goes up. And so we're already high on the dollar, and it's going to be a tricky balancing act because we don't want the money flowing from the States to here with enough rapidity that they're actually going to lose strength in their economy. So there's a lot of factors. People have said interest rates are coming up towards the end of summer of this year. Really hard to predict. It's a real balancing act right now. And so I'm assuming there's going to be some level of stability, at least for the next couple months. But nobody has a crystal ball. That's the thing about this whole process, is if you knew what you knew today, a year ago, you'd probably be, you would have made different decisions. Anyhow, looking forward, that's what things seem to look like, is a lot of stability. When you look at the numbers, so we've got the townhouse numbers, we're seeing a lot of strength, and I talk about this almost every month, is the lower price ranges, 40 active listings, 40 sales, which means we're seeing a tremendous amount of a rush in the low price ranges. Talking about average price, medium price, less than $350 for the townhomes, and a very tight percent of lists that they're selling for. Same thing with the semis. So if you're looking at listing your home, it's not a question of if you're going to sell in most cases, it's what are you going to sell for. And so putting your price a little bit higher, strategic positioning, it's all stuff that can put a lot more money in your pocket. And then look at this one here. So detached homes are about 45.3%. So what we're seeing is as we're going into the upper price ranges, it's really changing a lot. Okay, there's a lot of changes happening. It's very hard to sell homes. In even past 500, it gets tough. Past 600, it's a bloodbath, and it's really tricky. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but it certainly means you've got to have that competitive advantage, something unique about your home. Now, I did the numbers a couple weeks ago, and it used to be in Milton, if you had a premium or a ravine lot, there might be 3 or 4 of them on the market. That was a lot, sometimes only 1 or 2. There were 25 of them at the middle of last month. So what happens is that premium shrinks because there's so much abundance. And so that's a really interesting factor that we've seen too. Now, we look at the last month stats, okay, so very healthy, 18 days on the market overall, but again, that's mostly fueled by the lower price ranges. And the other thing is the year-to-date April 2011. So if you think about a year ago, there were a lot less people that lived in Milton. The number of listings as of the end of April 2010 was at 821, so one more listing than this year. The number of sales was even up a little bit higher. So what we're seeing is usually through election time, things are very quiet. Real estate really slows down, but we didn't see that this year. And I believe it's because we just don't have the inventory. We don't have the supply. We have a bit of an oversupply in the higher ranges, but the supply is really, really dwindled. There's not a lot of selection. Like as a buyer, you almost sit there as a first-time buyer. You're waiting for the good one, jump on it, and it's usually gone within a day or two if it's a great listing. So anyhow, we didn't see that traditional election slowdown, which I suppose is, I don't know, I guess it's the thing about when people say, how's the market? It's like, what side are you on? Are you cheering for the buyers or the sellers? And the other thing that I notice is when people say, how's the market is made up of a bunch of different levels, different kinds of homes. You can stratify it a lot of different ways. And in my experience, people, when they ask that question, they really want to know, how's my market? How's my little world? And so that's certainly a question we can help you answer. But to generally answer that question, it's very, very difficult. And the media tries to make it out like it's all one big thing. So we've got a bunch of people that we've helped, people that have actually requested this report and have ended up working with us. And so you can read some comments from them too. And so we've got a bunch of listings right now currently for sale. And the big message with this stuff here is that you don't want to rely too much. Asking prices will give you an idea of where things stand, but asking price can have nothing to do with sale price. If something's listed at $400,000 but it's really worth $420,000, it's going to sell quick, and you may not see that reflected in these. Or if it's listed at $400,000, it may only be worth $370,000, in which case if you rely on that asking price, you may be pricing yourself out of the market too. Now, the nice thing about overpriced listings is they actually make your listing look better if you're priced at a reasonable level. So anyhow, there's a whole bunch of pages right now of homes, and you'll see again there's a high skew towards the upper sales. So a bunch of pages in here, and then the last page is just the 3 things that you can do next. Okay, so we've got 3 options. You can have us over for about an hour. We'll tell you everything you need to do in the home. I break it up into 3 categories. There's the must do, the could do, and the don't do. We'll have a vision for each room, and we'll really tell you the highest return things that you can do in your home. And it doesn't always mean expensive. I would say on average, anywhere from $100 to $200 is the average that people spend, and it's mostly on accessories. It's like they have the bare essentials, and it's repositioning, it's changing, it's decluttering, changing light bulbs, things like that. So anyhow, you can do that. You can ask us for a pinpoint price analysis, and that's a great way to define where we think it's going to sell. And we actually, when we give you prices, we'll tell you what we think it sells for in 30 days, 60, and 90, so that you can base your decision a little bit more on timing as well. And I'll even guarantee to sell it in 60 days, or there's a penalty to us, okay? Because I think that there's a lot of people in my industry that tell you what you want to hear instead of the truth. And the last thing is that we have over 6,000 buyer emails. We run a site called miltondailyhomes.com, and so that site in the last year has had over 250,000 views. And so a lot of times I can find a buyer without even putting a home on the market. So if you want to tell us a bit more about your house, I can certainly write it down in my black book, and we can see if there's maybe a match out there for you. So that's the report. That's a little bit of interpretation for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and feel free to take us up on one of those 3 steps, and I'll see you next month. Okay, take care. Bye.